Collectibles collectors, and welcome to another Bossk's Bounty video, and welcome to episode 219 of Ask Boss Bounty. This is the weekly Q&A series that drops every Sunday, where I take your questions from the comment section below and do my best to answer them. So if you do have a question for next week's episode and you want to be featured in the video, be sure to leave that question in the comment section of this video. And as I said, hopefully you'll be featured next week. Before we get on to this week's questions, I do have a couple of things that I want to show you, and also a couple of thank yous. First of all, a big thank you to Dean Backhouse for becoming a Patreon member. Really appreciate it, buddy. And also thank you to Scott Whitehouse for upgrading in Patreon from Wookiee Hunter to Trandoshan Warrior. Thank you so much for that, buddy, as well. Now we move on to some of the things that I wanted to show you, and they are all kind of May the 4th related. First of all, Star Action Figures over in the UK are having a promotion over the May the 4th weekend. Happy Revenge of the 5th, by the way, as I'm recording this video. And they've teamed up with Mr. Stormtrooper Davis on Instagram, who is a toy photographer. And they've also teamed up with Hasbro as well. And they're doing these promotions whereby you spend over £50 on Star Action Figures and you get a set of 4 prints. They are absolutely awesome. Nice thick card, and you can see there that's 2 Vintage Collection figures there. You've got Ahsoka and Maul. That's a Black Series figure. I actually love that image there. That's the classic episode 1 poster, isn't it? Teaser poster. And then that's the Bad Batch in the Black Series. And then that's some Vintage Collection clones and the ARC Trooper there. And on the back of each card, they are numbered. So this one's number 4. And you can see who is involved with this. So you've got Star Action Figures, Mr. Stormtrooper Davis, Hasbro, and of course Lucasfilm there. So they've all come together to do this promotion over May the 4th. So if you do want a set of these, then all you need to do is spend over £50 on Star Action Figures. They do ship internationally as well. However, I do have a few sets to give away. So Star Action Figures were kind enough to send me some pre-paid postage. Now this is the UK, so these ones will be going to people in the UK. We do have a few there, but I also do have a few spare sets as well for my international followers. So these ones aren't paid for postage, but I will happily pay the postage for these. Now, if you want to win one of those, all you need to do is leave a question in the comments section of this video for next week's video. I can't promise that your question will be answered in next week's video because I do get a lot of questions, but at least you'll be in with a chance of the giveaway. And please make sure at the end of your comment or question that you put UK if you are in the UK, and then I know which prize to give you. If you're not in the UK, just leave it blank and I will post them anywhere in the world. I will be choosing them at random. There won't be any kind of like thing that I use on the internet like a comment pick or anything. I'll be picking them at random. I may even pick them based on how much I enjoy your question, but I've got maybe 7 or 8 sets to give away, so that's a pretty awesome thing. And to express my gratitude to all of my Patreon supporters and channel members, I will be giving away all 4 of these graded Vintage Collection figures. Apologies for the glare there. All of these got U95s, so they're from the 2 packs. I sent the 2 packs in, they opened the 2 packs and they gave them U grades, and I believe that they all scored U95s, which is pretty awesome. So before the end of the year, all 4 of these will be given away to my Patreon supporters and channel members. So if you do fancy being a member and supporting the channel and getting other benefits such as the private Discord, early videos, all that kind of thing, and giveaways, then this is the sort of thing that I do for my members. So pretty awesome giveaways there, you know, just to give something back. Also, I want to say a big thank you to the guys over at Asmodee. They sent me this Happy May the 4th from your friends at Asmodee, and they sent this card game, cooperative card game, Timeline Twist, Team Up to Untangle Time. I've got to admit, I don't know anything about this game, but I'm looking forward to playing it with my son. Maybe on a train journey or something, or a plane journey. That would be pretty awesome to play. So if you're interested in this, make sure you check out the website Asmodee. And finally, I want to say a big thank you to Martin Footer, who kindly sent me a gift. and it came to my PO box in this little small box here, and I'll show you exactly what it is right now. And in the parcel was this awesome Clone Wars Bossk, which you can only get in that Slave 1 set. I think you get a young Boba Fett in there as well. He is absolutely awesome, so I'm just going to plonk him there because I don't have my usual Bossk. I wanted to put him there for this video instead. And we have a little note here with a little sticker there, which is awesome. And it says, BB, not sure if you have this version of Bossk, but I'd not seen it before. Hopefully he'll be at home within your collection. Little sticker for little Bossk. Keep up the great work with the community. Thank you so much, Martin. I really do appreciate that, buddy. And he is awesome. I love him. And yeah, he's going to go very nicely in the collection of all of my Bosks. So thank you so much once again, buddy. And thank you to everybody who watches the videos. May the 4th be with you. Revenge of the 5th. With all that being said, let's get on to the first question. Guan79 says, hey, thanks heaps, Bossk. My question is, if you had to redo the 96 all over again from the original trilogy, looking at the most interesting and most important characters, who would you add and who would you leave off of the list? Cheers. Okay, so to answer that question, I've gone handheld, so I apologise about the shaky camera and the sound quality. I don't have the microphone plugged in right at this moment, but this is my original 96 of Kenner figures. It's kind of like the centerpiece of my collection in this awesome display case. I absolutely love it. And it is a little bit unfair talking about Kenner figures that shouldn't have been made because they all have their own, I don't know, quirkiness. But I would say that perhaps the Imperial Dignitary and the Anakin Force Ghost were maybe a little bit unnecessary at the time. You know, quite boring figures, didn't really come with any accessories. And if you think about the figures that they could have done, you know, you've got the Rebel Fleet Trooper, the Sand Trooper, you've got the Dagobah Luke in training, that would have been a great one. Slave Leia, of course. So there are a few that I could think of that I would probably have preferred as a kid as the Imperial Dignitary and Anakin Force Ghost. But I've got to say, this is the original 96 and I wouldn't change it right now. It is what it is. It is what it was back in the day, and yeah, I wouldn't want to change it now. Manuel Vicario says, hey BB, question for next week. Can the new Axe Woves Mandalorian helmets fit on the new Clone Trooper bodies? So the answer is yes, the Axe Woves helmet does fit onto the Clone Trooper body, except for the fact that he looks like he has no neck. And the Clone Trooper helmet fits onto the Axe Woves body, but he looks like he's got a really long neck. So obviously the pins that they use are a different length. JDC says, hey Bossk, my question for next week could very well be negated by the time you answer it, but I'll try anyway. If they were to make Bo-Katan's Gauntlet or Cormorant class fighter transport, do you think it would be better as a Haslab or mainline retail release? They've been leaning into Mandalorian so much that if feasible they could make it. I personally don't think it would be worth it unless it had the drop bay in the belly for a squad of Mandos to stage from, but that would also make it pretty big. I would love to hear your thoughts and thanks for all you do, Jack. Yeah, so this is a funny one, isn't it? Because those types of craft, spaceship if you like, are really, really quite big. I'll throw this image up on the screen here where somebody's done a comparison of the size, and you'll just see there that even the smallest version of this craft is as big as the Millennium Falcon. I believe the biggest one on this image is the dropship version, and the smallest version is her like fighter craft. I think the fighter craft version could potentially be done in the main line. It'd probably be a little bit undersized. It wouldn't be as big as the Millennium Falcon, that is for sure. And the big one, 100% with the dropship and everything, that would have to be a Haslab, 100%. There's no way they could not do that justice in the main line as a retail or Hasbro Pulse item. It'd have to be a Haslab. And you're right, for it to be any good, it would have to have that drop bay where you could place maybe, I don't know, 8 Mandalorians ready to drop down. That would be pretty cool. But yeah, I think I've talked about this before, but I don't think a lot of people realise the scale of these ships. And this little image here just shows you really, compared to the Millennium Falcon, you know, how big they are. A couple of questions about General Grievous here, and Dangerous Outlaw says, hey Boss Bounty, question for next week. If Hasbro were to make General Grievous in TVC line, would you rather him be in a deluxe packaging with more accessories, for example, a cape and changeable arms, or have him be released in a carded version with less accessories? And Stop Motion and Review says, hey BB, question for next week. Do you think we would get a Tales of the Empire figures like General Grievous, because he is in it, and he also is very expensive on the black market or secondary market. Yeah, so I do apologise in advance for any ranting that goes on in this video, because there are a few questions in this video which, you know, trigger me a little bit and make me rant, and General Grievous is one of them. I mean, I would say personally that if Hasbro were to do General Grievous again, they would probably just reissue this one. I can see them doing that. Having said that, look at the new retro collection. They've got that brand new card back. They've got a General Grievous in there. All that money that's being spent on these newly tooled figures, which really aren't retro style in my opinion. They're 5POA style. They're the sort of figures that kids would buy for $7.99 or whatever on the pegs. A bit like that Elite series like they've got going on at the moment. These figures look like those to me. They don't really look Kenner-esque, and we'll come on to Jango in a little bit, but for me, they've got to get away from these deluxe boxes. I really don't like the deluxe boxes, especially for Jango Fett. I thought what you got in that pack was nowhere near deluxe. And for me, when you're talking about General Grievous, let's just say, for example, that they did do an all-new General Grievous, then for me, he should be like this on a card back. Preferably the card back that they gave us in that retro collection box set that they just revealed. That would be fantastic. And then they could do like a 2-pack. Maybe bring out an all-new Obi-Wan Kenobi from Revenge of the Sith that everybody wants as well. And then you could do like a 2-pack. And that's where you get all of your accessories. So you do a 2-pack like mini diorama, battle pack type thing. You get Obi-Wan with his robe and some extra accessories. And then you get General Grievous with lots of extra accessories like changeable arms and all those things that you mentioned. But the actual sort of base version should be on a card. It should not be in one of these deluxe boxes. They're starting to annoy me, those deluxe boxes, and I hope that they stop doing them. Juan Molarak says, hi BB, question for next week. Number one, now that the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace is coming, do you think we'll get an updated figures for Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Padawan and Darth Maul in TVC? I think that Maul holds up pretty well for today's standards, but we sure need a new Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan figures after that amazing Dooku figure they released. I hope they give us at least a Qui-Gon. 2, a personal one. Can you tell us how it was for you, the return of Star Wars back in the day when this film hit the theatres? Well, to start with, I remember going in 1999 to watch The Phantom Menace, and I was extremely excited for it. Obviously, I grew up with the original trilogy, and I was one of those people that wasn't actually that disappointed with The Phantom Menace. I thought it was pretty good. I went to the cinema just the other day to watch it again, and once again, I thought it was great. I know it's not for everybody, but for me, I think it has that Star Wars feel, which the sequels definitely lack. The Phantom Menace still had that. It still had that Star Wars feel. As for your question about the Phantom Menace figures in TVC, unfortunately, and this is another mini rant, it seems that Hasbro has no interest of celebrating the Phantom Menace anniversary in the Vintage Collection this year. We are not getting anything, it seems, does it? We're already halfway through the year, pretty much. We don't have a Qui-Gon, we don't have a Obi-Wan Padawan, and we don't have a new Darth Maul. Pretty sure a new Darth Maul was revealed for the Black Series as well, just to rub some salt in the wounds even further. But what can we do at this point apart from, you know, make our feelings clear online? It would have been nice to have got some Phantom Menace figures, especially the main heroes. Qui-Gon Jinn desperately need a new one. Obi-Wan desperately need a new one. And you mentioned there that Darth Maul that we have in TVC holds up. I think that's a stretch. I think we could really do with a new Darth Maul, and at the same time release his speeder as well. Come on Hasbro, we're waiting for this stuff. James Wilson says, keep up the great work BB, you are a blessing to the collective community. Thanks buddy, appreciate that. Says, question for next week, do you think it's safe to assume that since the Haslab announcement was delayed and no new data was announced, that the Haslab was not going to be the Cantina and they are going back to the drawing board from scratch to create the Cantina? It all seems very strange. No, I don't think that. I think whatever the Haslab is going to be, it will still be announced this year and it will still be dropping next year. And I think that's too late for them to go back to the drawing board completely. I think the Haslab isn't going to change in terms of what it is. I just think maybe, as they said, there's a few things that they wanted to get sorted. We can speculate what those are, but, you know, they said that they want to get it perfect. And if it means that we have to wait a little bit of time for that to happen, then so be it. I want it to be right, and you know, it could be anything. It could be something from the design, something from the packaging, it could be a legal matter, it could be something from Lucasfilm are picking out, it could be anything, you know. So We'll have to wait and see what that is, and hopefully when it drops, it will drop with loads of other products surrounding it, and you know, it'll be a really good thing to have in our collections that will fill out a particular scene or whatever. If it is the Cantina, then of course we want aliens coming with it, we want Barman, we want the main heroes. So all of these things are connected, and when Steve Evans on his Instagram says things like, you know, creating a story around things, that's what I think he means. I think, you know, you're not just going to dump a product on us and then that's it. They want to support it with other products. You know, a bit like the Jabba's Palace playset. We got the 4-pack of aliens to go with it and all that kind of stuff. So that's my thoughts on it, really. Source Boss says, hey BB, question for next week. Have you noticed that blasters in the TVC are becoming underscaled? A good example is the pistol that comes with Hunter and the size of the pistols from the last Captain Rex that we got. The new ones look way too small and horrible. Yes, I have noticed that. Particularly the one that comes with Hunter is a small blaster. I'm not too sure, maybe if they oversized the blasters previously. Things like this, maybe. I don't know. But for sure, they are definitely going down in quality. I don't know if you can see the blaster on this guy here. It actually came with a painted brown stock, and some of the Stormtrooper blasters used to have little silver paint apps on them and stuff, and now they're just black. Having said that, looking at this pack here, they're all just black as well. So it could all be in my mind that the quality's going down, and it's just sometimes they paint them and sometimes they don't. But for sure, you're right. The size of them seems to me like it's getting smaller. Super Fry says, question for next week. Now that the Black Series has both versions of Mace Windu's 187th Legion Battalion, do you think TVC will be getting these clones? And if we do get them, which version would you prefer? So yes, I think eventually we will get them. I think Hasbro are being a bit too slow about it. I mean, you've got this guy now. They have brought out the pack with these, with the 501st, only one 501st mind, which is a bit annoying, and the 332nd. So come on, Hasbro, get a move on. Give us the 187th. This is the type that I would prefer, the purple ones, rather than that sort of like maroon colour that they did. This was the 3.75 inch battle pack that came with Mace Windu, of course, and this is the versions that I would like. Hasbro, while you're at it, make an airborne trooper as well. You can do airborne troopers in the 212th. You've got them in the 187th. And while you're at it, Hasbro, these guys here could also do with an update using this body. I just don't know why they're not getting a move on with this. It's pretty simple to me. Just bring out battle pack after battle pack of these different types of clones. Don't mix and match them like you've done with the 501st. Just give us 3 grunts and an airborne, or 3 grunts and the captain, or whatever. But get a move on, please. Tally Tortures Productions says, hi, love your videos. Question for next week. Personally, I want to see more playsets, terrain pieces, bark and stap speeders, and a new ATRT. I feel like Hasbro is missing out on so much money. The whole point of 3.75 inch is to world build in a way you can't with 6-inch figures. Imagine a Nexu and Padme pack, then a Reek and Anakin pack, and an Obi-Wan and Acklay pack. Oh, we can dream. If they were to do more, what would you want? I personally would love them to do the ATRT. I've said this a few times, and once again it comes back to the clone. I think we need a new ATRT driver, and then just like they did back in the day, they could repaint the ATRT into various different battalions and legions, bring out another 501st version. You could do ones from video games. There's so much that they could do. I'm with you with the STAP as well. I would like them to do that with an all newly sculpted battle droid. So there's so much that they can do. Beasts, Mudhorns. We're getting the blurg. That's a good sign. We're getting a blurg, so you know we can't moan about that too much. But yeah, in terms of dreaming, I think a lot of this we do have to dream about and just hope that Hasbro comes through for us and, you know, ups the budget for TVC. Hopefully whatever the Haslab is a huge success and, you know, delivers loads of money, and then we can really say to them, look, you've had, what is it, 4 successful Haslabs. Put some of that money back into the TVC and give us more figures, basically, to go with all this stuff, and world building items like beasts and creatures. Come on, Hasbro, you know what to do. Django Camino says, question for next week. Because Django has had a TVC Deluxe Geonosis themed release recently, do you think Hasbro will re-release or make a new Django based on his Camino Coruscant appearance? Also, will a Django Slave 1 ever be made? Yeah, this is another mini rant. I'm sorry guys, but you know, we got the retro collection once again, and to me, as I said before, Those don't look like retro collection figures to me. That Jango looks to have pretty much the same paint applications as this guy. Of course, he doesn't have all the articulation that this guy has. And, you know, don't get me wrong, this figure is absolutely fantastic. It looks phenomenal. But the silver paint, that's all it is. It's just a bit of silver paint on a, you know, purple body. There's not a lot else going on with that figure. And the retro collection one has pretty much the same silver paint. And is he a super expensive deluxe figure? No. He comes on a brand new card back as well, just like this one should have been made on. But no, we get it in the retro collection. So once again, salt in those wounds. I mentioned salt in wounds on Victoria's social hour that I was a guest on last night. And, you know, I don't want to sound like I'm moaning all the time, but there is a lot to be happy with in the vintage collection. There is, and I'll always say when I'm happy with something. But this year has been a bit of a dud year for me, and I'm praying that 2025 is going to be a lot better. And that's why they need to get that Haslab announcement out there, because obviously that'll be dropping in 2025. And then once everybody knows what that Haslab is, then they can only imagine the characters that we would get to go with it, making 2025 a stellar year for TVC. Fingers crossed. As for the Slave 1, this Bossk was included in the only version of Jango's Slave 1 that we've had in terms of like the big version. And when they brought out that Book of Boba Fett version of the Slave 1, when we'd only really had a re-release of the Empire Strikes Back version like 2 years or a year before, I thought that was a poor decision, and they should have done Jango Fett at that point. Just re-released that, upgraded it, weathered it. That thing on the secondary market is really quite expensive, maybe because of the figures, the exclusive figures that come with it that you can't get elsewhere, but also because it's Jango Fett Slave 1 and, you know, they haven't released it any other time. So that's what they should have done. So I can't say whether they'll do that. Maybe for the Attack of the Clones 25th anniversary. Jesse Perry says, hey Bossk, your reply about the Hunter Clone Commando question got me thinking, do you think the reason we haven't gotten the rest of the Bad Batch is because the rest of the team would require individual molds that don't allow Hasbro to easily reuse them like they do with Mandalorians and Stormtroopers, especially since their one reuse of the Hunter mold didn't go over well? Yeah, in the Black Series with the Clone Commandos, wasn't it? Yeah, I know people weren't too happy about that. I don't know, man. I mean, you look at some of the figures that we've had in TVC that are one and dones. I think of the Myth Roll, for example. You know, are they ever going to be able to use that guy again? So I don't think they necessarily think that they have to use a figure more than one time. But I think you're onto something there at the end of the day. Each one of those Bad Batch figures is quite individual in terms of their, you know, their outfits and their sculpts. Wrecker, obviously, for Hasbro would be a deluxe figure because he's so big. Tech would be completely different to Hunter, for example. I just still can't really understand why they would even bother releasing Hunter by himself and not do the others. I mean, that literally is just going to get people's backs up. It's literally going to annoy people. For me, it's a complete waste of a sculpt. Great figure it is. I'm going to bring him in again because I've still got him here from last week's video. There's no denying that he is a fabulous figure. Really, really good. But on his own, it's just a bit of a waste. He's... You know, they need to make the rest of those. I personally aren't a massive fan of the Bad Batch. I enjoyed it and everything, but it's, you know, the figures for it aren't at the very top of my list. I want other things. But I do realise that there's lots of people out there that do want them. And Hasbro just isn't delivering. And I honestly can't see when they're going to be doing those. Because as you say, three of them are going to need new sculpts. And that's a big portion of the yearly budget of newly tooled figures. Let's end the video on a more positive note. I do apologise for the rants and moaning in this video. If it annoys you, I do apologise. I promise to be more positive in the future. But Andy McGlink says, Bossk, great show. Non-Star Wars question. What's your favourite place you ever travelled to and why? This is difficult. There's quite a few places. Me and my family go to Portugal quite a lot. You can guarantee the weather in the summer there. It's always nice and hot. We always stay at the same villa, so I've got a lot of fond memories of staying there maybe 3 or 4 times with the family. I've got to say I also love Orlando, Florida. I love all the parks and everything. I've been there on my honeymoon, and we also took the children 3 or 4 years ago, and we're going again this year, so that's another great place. Also, I love travelling around European cities. I've visited many European cities like Rome and Paris and Madrid, some of the eastern ones as well, like Vilnius in Lithuania, Prague. Some really, really great places. I'm fortunate because I've worked in travel that I've been able to go to some of these great places. So that's a positive end to the video. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave your question in the comment section of this video, especially if you want to be entered into the giveaway for those awesome prints by Star Action Figures and Mr. Stormtrooper. So be sure to leave UK at the end, remember, of your question if you're in the UK. If you're not, leave it blank. Thanks so much for watching, and thanks to my Patreon supporters and channel members. As always, your support means a great deal to me, so thank you so much. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we shall see you on the next one.